Hey there, how are you today? My name is Dana Demara. You have landed on Astrocast. This is your monthly forecast for the month of September. Okay, get your little handy dandy notebook out, but you can also read in the notes. I'll put the highlights of the day, but this is one of the busiest months of 2024. Okay, um, I'm going to put on my glasses because I want to make sure I get all of my notes correct, all sitting here in front of me. Okay, first of all, beginning of the month, remember Pluto has whoop back into Capricorn. So there's this undercurrent all the way until November 19th about revisiting karmic issues centered around anything Capricorn. Okay, so anything Capricorn, anything that's been going on uh, for you since 2008 when when Pluto is in Capricorn, anything that is like needing to be buttoned up, this is this undercurrent, okay, all the way till November 19th. Now we also have eclipses coming up, okay. We also have a Pisces full moon. Okay, so in the first part of the month, we're going to be supported by very grounding, earthy energy. Okay, this is that Virgo new moon. So the energy kicks off the month with the Virgo new moon. Okay, but before that, Uranus is going into retrograde. Now, when Uranus goes into retrograde, and Uranus has been in Taurus for a really long time. Okay, now let's think about this for a second. Uranus is the planet of higher mind thinking, unexpected changes, unexpected shifts, big changes that come out of nowhere, divine thought, right? These like electric currents that have to do with swift movement. Okay. Now it's going to station retrograde. And when it stations retrograde, it asks us to look at and review anywhere in our life where we've made a change. Maybe something has changed in your career, in your home, in your relationship, but it's asking us to review it. And this is in the sign of Taurus. The sign of Taurus is all about home and hearth and health and grounding energy. Okay, so gotta love when Uranus goes into retrograde. Now, Pluto, I talked about this, re-enters Capricorn. Okay, Pluto in Capricorn, I've talked about it in the weekly forecast. I talked about it at the beginning. There is this whole theme about not only buttoning up our karmic loops or whatever it is that we're working on, but also where have we experienced death and rebirth in our life? Like what has what have we let go of? What have we decided that this is no longer part of my story? And what have we made room for? And what's starting to kind of flow into our life? If you really sit with it, I'm sure you'll figure it out. Mercury's going to trine Chiron. I don't talk a lot about Chiron, although I will tell you that when I do private readings, Chiron is one of the things that I highlight, Chiron in the North Node. So when Mercury trines Chiron, Chiron is the healer. Chiron is the wounded warrior, the healer within us, the sacred healer. And Mercury, now that Mercury's traveling direct again, and then trining, remember trine is a positive influence, it's a triangle. This energy is asking us to have the healing conversation, to think the healing thoughts, to allow ourselves to integrate in our lower mind thinking what it is that either we've healed, we're currently healing, anything that has to do with healing our energy. Okay. It's time to put those things into play directly into our day to day, whatever that means. Okay. And then thankfully we have that Virgo new moon on the 2nd. So all of that was on September 1st. And then September 2nd, we have the Virgo new moon. So Virgo new moon is going to give us this amazing grounding energy. Like, thankfully, we may feel certain about our path. We may be very much wanting us, like, whenever a Virgo new moon starts to come up, I can feel myself wanting to like get things in their buckets, right? Like, okay, we need to do this and then this and then this and then that and then this. And it used to coincide with school starting. Now I don't have that as an excuse, but it is this energy that's asking us to kind of get things ready for um, uh, organization, right? So just organizing something, whatever that means for you. I talked a little bit about this in the weekly forecast. Mars is going to square Neptune. So when Mars squares Neptune, I talked a little bit about Mars squaring Neptune and it creating this confusing energy, like disorientation. But I want to also say that Mars squaring Neptune can also help us on our spiritual journey. Mars squaring Neptune can also say, okay, I know you've been saying to yourself that you're going to start meditating every day, or you're going to use your malas or whatever it is, but today's the day. Now you need to start doing it, right? So there is always different ways to look at energy when planets are creating an aspect with one another, and so that's two ways. And I look at it this way: when energy feels frenetic to me, or it's a little discombobulating, the very first thing I do is I amplify my spiritual practices, because that is grounding to me. So again, use the energy of the new moon to create a sense of grounding, really kind of glomp onto that, because as we move throughout the first week here, it'll get a little shaky. Venus is going to conjunct the South Node. Now, South Node is our past. South Node are the things that we need to get rid of, or move away from, I should say, not get rid of. As we move throughout our life, we want to start moving toward our North Node, which is our true north, our attributes of what we want to start exuding in our life, integrating into our life, right? And so as we move toward our North Node, we start to dissolve some of the South Node attributes. Okay, so when Venus is creating this type of aspect with the South Node, Venus can help us move away from the old and start to create something new. Venus can say, hey, it's okay that these things are starting to crumble around you. It's part of the process. What is it that you want to create or birth in this process of letting go? Mars is going to enter Cancer on September 4th, right? And so when Mars when any planet goes into a new sign, we feel it, whether we know it or not. Mars going into Cancer is this energy that highlights and motivates us around anything Cancer, our emotions, our femininity, right? So Mars is going to move into Cancer, but in December, Mars is going to retrograde back into Leo. Okay, so just understand now that as we sit with the energy of Mars and Cancer, pay attention to what themes come up for you around femininity, our emotions, our inner warrior, right? Like, what are we working with internally? And know that that retrograde is going to bring answers to light for you. I talked a little bit about this in the weekly forecast. Mercury is going to square Uranus. Now, again, a square and an opposition are always energies that aren't super comfortable. They're very uncomfortable. So when Mercury squares Uranus, it's a very confusing day. It's like the lower mind and the higher mind are like bunting heads. And so try not to get sucked in, but also try not to get carried away with that. Try to do things that are opposite of that, right? Just if there's gossip swirling around, if there's just confusion and distraction swirling around, just go do something grounding, stay out of it. September 8th, the sun is going to oppose Saturn. Again, I talked a little bit about this. This is going to highlight our responsibilities, where we need to take action, what we need to finish up, whatever karmically we need to finish up. And remember, Saturn is still in retrograde. Okay, so there is just this energy that's asking us to rise up to the challenge and not put it aside. No procrastinating, by the way. September 9th, Mercury is going to move into Virgo, which is, Mercury loves being in Virgo. This is the planet of communication. And so, and Virgo is all about analytics and having things in a certain order. And so these two together are just like any kind of confusion will start to ripple away now. The sun's going to square Jupiter on the 12th, which we love, by the way. You might start to feel that something's getting ready to expand within you. Maybe all those creative endeavors that you've been kind of putting out there, little bits and pieces. This is a good time to really continue with that and know that soon enough, something is going to come from all of that. I promise. The 18th, we'll have the full moon in Pisces, lunar eclipse. Okay, so full moon in Pisces, welcome to eclipse season. This is the lunar eclipse. It's the last lunar eclipse of the year, but the first for the September-October season. So the Pisces lunar eclipse is going to give us a taste, whatever's going on for you at this time, it's going to give us a taste of what's coming up for the next 18 months, right? So think about eclipses follow like an 18-month cycle. And so the Pisces lunar eclipse will probably bring an ending to something. Eclipses always bring an ending to something, especially lunar eclipses. It's a full moon, it's letting go. So it's letting go of something, but it can also bring about a resolution to something. Okay, so eclipses will always put you where you need to be. Eclipses will show you what needs to happen. So maybe you've been working on something for a while, whether it's relationship related, money related, job related, wherever that piece of the pie is falling for you. During an eclipse, that energy will give you a definitive answer as to what's next. You'll know. Hopefully you're kind of on the right path and you don't get yanked into something that you had no idea was coming, because that's how it works sometimes. But listening, using the Pisces, remember it's in Pisces, so I'll do a whole report for it. But just remember that Pisces is mystical and magical and very much about the unseen. So play with that energy a little bit too. On the 19th, Sun is going to trine Uranus. Remember, Uranus is in retrograde, but the Sun's in Virgo. It's going to trine Uranus. So this is positive energy. This is positive energy right after that full moon in Pisces, right? So just try to ride it out. September 21st, the Sun is opposing Neptune. Now, remember, I talked about Neptune and oppositions. Okay, Neptune is the big dreamer, fantasy, like I want to dream really big. I'm not going to pay attention to details. I'm just going to throw it out there like spaghetti on the wall, right? The Sun is opposite, creating an opportunity to find a sense of balance, right? So look back at what has been happening for you and where has some of that confusion cleared? Where has, have you been able to find like an answer to something or illumination about something, right? So whatever was confusing for you that first week of the month, hopefully it's going to come clear. On the 22nd, Sun is going to move into Libra, and we have our equinox. I love the equinox. So this is equal hours of night and day. And then, I'm sure I'll do a special report for the equinox, but just know that during this time, Libra, first of all, is all about balance. Libras always want balance. So this is a beautiful time to find a sense of balance and to really allow ourselves to, beautify our environment, beautify our life, and get ready for a new season. September 22nd, Sun is going to trine Pluto while Venus squares Pluto. Yikes. Okay. So the Sun and Pluto come together, okay, in this harmonious trine. Okay, so Sun is going to trine, creating that triangle. Venus is creating the hard aspect, the square. So this can stir up power dynamics in and around love, money, finances, what you value, how you value yourself. relationships, empowerment, disempowerment, right? You may be forced to kind of step forward and stand in your truth about something so that you can create that sense of empowerment, right? Maybe you've been allowing yourself to be disempowered somewhere in your life. Here's the opportunity to step forward. Or alternatively, maybe you've been pushing so much or exerting your power so much that it's time to just take a step back. Only you know the answer to these things, but with the sun trining Pluto and Venus squaring Pluto, it is definitely those themes. Okay, Venus moves on September 23rd. Venus moves out of Libra and into Scorpio. Okay, now Venus rules Libra. So Venus is super happy in Libra. Now it's going to move into Scorpio, where it's going to dive a little bit deeper into its shadow. It's going to dive a little bit deeper into the shadow qualities of what you love, how you love, money, finances, how you value yourself, and maybe how you don't value yourself. So pay attention. Okay. Mercury in Libra. Mercury moves into Libra. This is encouraging us to think of others and putting ourselves in the back seat as we allow ourselves to see ourselves through the eyes of others. So remember, Libra is balance. Libra is the scales. Libra wants balance in everything. So Mercury, when Mercury moves into Libra, it's like, okay, stop talking and listen. That's a good one. I love that. And then on the last day of the month, September 30th, Sun will conjunct Mercury. Now, when the Sun and conjunct Mercury, this is an amazing feeling that I know you all feel. In fact, mark your calendar and tell me if you feel it. When the Sun conjuncts Mercury, there's so much clarity. Things are like, you get opportunities for aha moments. It's like, oh my gosh, why didn't I even think of that before? And it's deep clarity. And if you think back to the retrograde that we had from basically from the beginning of August to the end of August, think back, like, what was unclear for you? And I would bet money, and I'm not a gambler, that it will be like a whoosh, oh my gosh, such clarity. And that's how we end the month. So this month is really quite fun. My invitation to you for the entire month is to start it off with some grounding practices to like just soak in that new moon in Virgo, just soak it in, ground in, say, okay, this month, and I'll just use this as an example. This month, I'm going to wake up early on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to meditate, and then I'm going to go out and exercise. On Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I'm going to walk in the evening. I'm going to like just create these little pockets of time for yourself that really institute and enhance your sense of deep grounding. It's really important because the month will be like discombobulating. So that's all I got for you. Happy birthday to all my Virgos out there. And hopefully I'll see you on the equinox. And if not, have a beautiful day. Namaste.